Hey, hello everyone. Welcome to this market review. I'm going to take a look, obviously, at the indices as I usually do. Then we'll take a look at crypto. I have, quite a few slides here prepared for you. What happened on Friday? We had basically a pretty nasty, I would say, right, job report, about 22,000 when there were 75,000 expected. The market obviously start pricing in a lot of rate cuts towards the end of the year. We broke higher, made a new all-time high, and then reversed. And kind of starting to punish those breakout buyers. We came back, we sold off into what you see here, the 20-day moving average, and then we kind of pushed back and closed, halfway up. So it was a little bit of a shakeout. I don't think it's anything in here that's too concerning. The trend, it's still up. We'll take a look at the weekly charts. We'll take a look at the wave counts as well. But everything it's pretty much, I would say, intact, and the trend it's still fairly powerful, and it does look like it might even want to gather a bit more steam here. I know we're in September. It could be some problems due to seasonality in here. They haven't really showed up just yet, but things can shift very quickly. So we'll take a look kind of on a day-by-day basis here through my videos, hopefully, and I can try to make sense kind of what's going on. But for right now, things look fairly decent. The trend is really uninterrupted in here. If we take a look at the weekly time frame, we had a decent close, I think, and it's one of the, I think it's a new it's the highest closed ever on the weekly time frame from what I'm seeing here on the candles. So the RSI, it's sitting right now at about, I think it's about 65 right there on the weekly time frames. A little bit less volume coming in this week, I guess. Maybe that's slightly concerning, but again, no real signs of disruption in here. I watch, quite a bit of breadth, and everything looks good in terms of if you look at the equal weight, if you look at new highs versus new lows, advances versus declines, there's really nothing there that jumped out at me to say that we're hitting bumps in here. So besides seasonality, I don't know what else it's out there, and there could be if the economy starts to really turn and you're starting to get negative job growth, and traders start to get scared of that. I think the fact that we're going to cut rates are not going to be enough to prevent the market sell-off if the economy starts to a point that it could be in trouble. So we'll see, but that's a lot of speculation. I'm not big into this macro, but I watch it, and I'm trying to kind of create some scenarios there. Another thing that's interesting is the positioning in the S&P in terms of the commitment of traders, and you can see in here in the green, we're continuing to have quite a lot of large positions that come from hedge fund institution, big traders, all these non-commercials as they call them. They're continuing to be quite short here. The S&P 500, not as extreme even as we were earlier in the year, but it's still full negative exposure in here. So that's could continue to fuel a bit more upside in the market in here, just until this positioning maybe gets more neutral. So if you look here over the past 4 weeks, they do report this every Tuesday, but they report it every Friday, kind of after the close, but it's based on that previous Tuesday, the numbers that are presented. So we were at August 15, middle of August, about 163 shorts. Then they reduced that a little bit in a week later. Then they start increasing shorts August 29, so the week of August 29, and then this week at about 187 negative. So quite a large number in the short positioning in here. So let's see what's going on. But if you take a look also at the bearish positioning from the AAII, this continues to be quite elevated in here, and So I don't understand. I mean, people are, even the large traders, institutions, speculators here, they're just continuing to be fairly short this market. So I don't know if this could fuel more upside, but it's definitely very interesting. I tend to think that this is going to continue to go up based on this. You're taking a look at the wave count, and I presented this several times. On the weekly time frames, we're looking for a larger wave 3 here in red, and there's probably like some type of a fourth wave either continuing to form in here, or some kind of maybe a running triangle. It's really kind of hard to say exactly, but this does look, as it's sharp, it looks like a third wave. That looks like a third wave. So we're probably going to continue to grind higher to try to find the top of this wave 1 somewhere. I mean, just because I placed it up there doesn't mean that that's where the target is, okay? Because I'm getting a lot of feedback on that, even when I put stuff on Twitter and say, well, do you think it's going to go to that number where it's the wave 1? No, that's just a placeholder, right? I could put it all the way up there, I could put it a bit lower. It doesn't mean that that's the target. It just means that that's the direction that I'm looking for. So once that kind of completes, at some point we'll get a wave 2, but there's no indications of that yet. And I threw in here also the Nasdaq composite, where in here it looks more like was like more of a fourth wave type of of a sideways move, with the break up higher in wave 5, and maybe that's the one that's gonna kind of reduce those short positioning and kind of get everybody bullish, and then we can start to correct. Something to think about. I'll definitely watch that. IWM, one of my main positions here. I'm long. I continue to be long ever since we got back above these 200 a day moving average, and we started to give signs that that the trend kind of has turned, and we're starting to move more into a kind of bullish stance. I talked previously about this kind of inverted head and shoulder here, and or cup and handle, however you want to call it, but it is moving higher, so I like that. And even on Friday, I mean, they sold off, and small caps have a tendency to respond really well to rate cuts. So if that's coming down the road, we'll see. The positioning in here, I'll show it to you. That's also quite short, although they've reduced those short positions. It's still, I don't think it's enough yet. So I think there's more to squeeze out of these short traders, and we'll see. But look at the volume that came in last week, with the close again toward the high. So that's pretty good. Even though you have a doji type formation, it's still, it still had a decent close. And it's an impulsive move, as you can see from these lows. If you look at the weeklies, so good week here in terms of volume. Close, very close to the previous highs, and I think just a pretty powerful trend. There's really no reason to fight this at the moment, in my view. So we'll see how that goes. I'll continue to watch it closely and see if there is a reason to take profits yet, but I'm still positioned long. So that's on that. And then in terms of the wave count, I mean, it's we're looking for a larger third wave, which I think it's just beginning. So that's kind of my take on that. I presented this before, but once we get above 2466, we're probably going to find resistance there, and there's going to be some fighting back and forth. Maybe that's the top of a wave 1, of a wave 3. Then you pull back a little bit, and then you continue to go. So the positioning in the Russell also, I mean, look, it's been quite extreme, and they've been shorting the large speculators here. They've been shorting the Russell ever since we started to kind of to recover, and they've been just wrong. Like, the market continues to go. Now it has sell-offs, and it's sharp. They're sharp, but I mean, you look at this and they're starting to reduce the positions, right, from almost minus 100 to minus 60, but I think there's more to go until they get back to somewhere near neutral level. So combine that with the wave count, there should be more upside in here, so we'll see. But definitely interesting what's happening. And you look at the semiconductors, also a nice three-wave setback. I talked about that one under the 50-day moving average. We're coming back. If we can get back above the swing high, I think that's going to lead to another nice rally. The volume came in on Friday pretty good, so I like that, and I'm positioned on the semiconductors on the long side as well. Via some short ETFs. So I am long though. Just I'd like to short some of these triple leveraged ETFs for the long side. All right, so that's SMH, and then here is the weekly look. And nice close on good volume, right back above that 10-week moving average. Just a tight sideways consolidation. Right, consolidations or corrections can happen, as you know, right? Can happen in price where we drop and we retrace a certain percentage, be that 25, 38, 50, 60%, what have you, depending on kind of which sequence you're in. If you're in a fourth wave, a second wave, depends. But sometimes they just go sideways, and there's just a lot of demand, and they don't let the price go down, but they do correct by time. And I think this could be one of those instances. Now, is this a fourth wave? Let's see. If you look at semiconductors, right, it does look like it's tied and sideways, so there could be a fourth wave with one more push, and then we're going to correct. So let's see how that goes. Bitcoin, I've been a bit more detailed in some of my previous videos about wanting to only get long once we break some of these key levels, and that really hasn't happened. I mean, it tried to, but did not close up there, so it got rejected, if anything. So that's still a bit of a concern. So it doesn't mean that we're gonna have some major sell-offs, but it just means that it's not a good time to buy it, at least not yet. So on the weekly time frames, I mean, I want to see those levels get taken out here above the 20, above the 50-day moving average. Then I'll start to look for the longs. But on the weekly, it still looks good, and it's just just a tiny little correction in here with the RSI at 50. Let's see how the RSI looks. Now here we're below, and we're coming into the RSI from below, hitting our head against 50, so we got to overcome that first. On the weekly, we're approaching it, which means that it starts to look interesting in terms of accumulation from a longer term perspective, especially that you have some massive support coming in, along with that 40-week moving average as well, which is sitting at about 100,000. So let's see if that gets tested and holds, and see what the reaction is. But I'll be a bit more patient with Bitcoin, because if it's a second wave and it's still developing in here, there's room to go, and in price and in time. And it can turn from there and start to break towards 140, 165,000, as you can see on my chart, which is kind of what I'm looking for. So, I'm just, longer term, I'm still very, very bullish. Shorter term in here, I'm cautious a bit because of the second wave, but but I'm looking to trade some positions if we can break some of those levels I've mentioned. And then Ethereum, it's pretty tight again, just correcting this kind of massive advance, hugging that 50 RSI without doing a whole lot. So it's a good level to start to jump from, with the 50 moving average catching up to the price. On the weekly, it's a little bit of a stop formation right there. Maybe the RSI needs to get back down a little bit, so there could be some digestion. But in terms of the wave count, I'm still looking for this to be some type of a fourth wave with another wave 5 to push us above 65, maybe into 7,000, and then see if we can get a second wave. Now remember, we're coming, we broke above this massive level, like 4,300, the one that was just, holding, and now we're coming back and we're testing it from above. So that's why, we're getting so much strength in here, and so much, not strength, but just demand, I guess, to hold the price, yeah, because of that massive level. So if that gives way, it could be some a little bit, at least shorter term, a bit of a problem. But look, you're having the 10-week moving average coming to catch up because we were so far above it, that it was probably not sustainable. So I think we're still fine in Ethereum, and I'm bullish that as well, obviously. And then, XRP, I still like it. It's kind of correcting, on low volume, which is good. That's what you want to see, above this 40-week moving average. So I'm definitely, let's see, it's right now at about 250. So as long as that holds, I think we're good. The wave count, if we break, it's probably not going to be a 1, 2, 3, 4, because then wave 4 we're getting to the wave 1, and that's not okay, and that's not acceptable. So it's either going to be a 1, 2, 1, 2, or some kind of a wave 2 in a flat formation, and that might take time. So I'm not, I don't know which one is going to pan out, but again, the best I can do with Elliott Wave is to just know the levels that I'm looking for on the upside, or the reactions that the market is giving me, to know if to, take defense, depend on kind of how actively you're trading. But if you want to be defensive, or if you want to be more aggressive, and right now even Ethereum is telling me, there's still some patience required here with the price action until we're climbing. I don't have the daily chart here, but until we're climbing back, I guess, at least above, $3 or something like that, in Ethereum. So like that 312 would be a good marker to look for further upside. So until that happens, we're holding tight in there. And then looking at the dollar, look how many weeks it had and how many tails to the upside. It continues to get rejected from the 100, from the 99 level, and this really suggests further weakness. And I would continue to be a seller of the dollar on the rallies. Now, if the economy, and you have issues, in all the metrics, I guess, that this big economists are watching, right? The dollar will react, and you'll see positive positioning in the dollar as a flight to safety, and that means that probably gold will start to pull back, Bitcoin, Ethereum, equities, and it will be a flight in the dollar. I don't think we're there. We'll see. I guess I'll watch that as closely as I can. I tend to just watch price in the equities, because they're usually ahead of that, and they're telling you kind of probably what's about to happen, if we're getting sell-offs. And so far they really haven't happened. So we'll see. The dollar wanted to spike towards 100, and it got rejected. So and you look at gold, we did talk. I'm not the only one, but the triangle here, it was massive, and it was kind of screaming a breakout higher. How high will it go? Nobody knows. But check out the RSI above. Look at this trend. Right? That's what I mean. Like when you see, especially on the weekly time frames, pulling back. Those are good times to, to get involved. Look at the wave counts, see what the moving averages are, and try to open positions. And this continued to pay out. It's a clean break. It's hard to fight this. And even I looked even in the commitment of traders positioning there, and it's just not long enough. They're not long, as some might have you think. So this can continue to go, and the only time where I would start to say, hey, there's probably an issue here is if you start to break back below where the breakout from the triangle happened. So once you get back above that 3,300 or so, then you know that move is completed and you're looking for a correction. So that's what I'm watching. But up until that happens, things are I would stay the course on the long side. And then you're looking at silver, which is another one that's, you see, not as clean of a trend as gold has, still above the 50 RSI nicely on the weekly, and it finally started to move. So this took a long time to start trending, and I think it might take a long time to stop trending. So we'll see, but the next level for silver would be somewhere around 50. We're trading like 41 or so. So there's plenty of room to go in the silver market as well. It's a bit trickier. It's a bit more whippy than gold, but I think once something starts to move, it has a tendency to continue to move, and that's why following trends is important and not fighting them. So anyway, that's all for today, I guess. We'll come back here through the daily videos next week, and give you my thoughts on that. So don't forget to hit that button over there and subscribe, and thanks for watching. I appreciate everybody. Bye bye.